Welcome to another episode of the Draft War Room. Kind of like the Draft Day movie, but we are drafting race horses. So this is going to kind of break down the horses we considered claiming last week at Keeneland, April 2020. There's really five main things we consider when we drop, aka go to purchase a horse out of a race. So first off, there's certain races where horses are for sale. They're called claiming races. It's a way to keep competition level. It's a way to allow horses that aren't Kentucky Derby level to still compete for wins on a level playing field. So those five main considerations are speed figures. So raw final time converted into a score, a speed figure. There's two main types of speed figures we use. We use the Federal Manager as well as Ragnarsson sheets. The second thing, how were these numbers achieved? This is a little bit of what they call trip handicapping. Was it a fast pace and the horse was a closer and it got helped out because the horses in the front got tired and you just passed tired horses? Or was it a fast horse that ran at a fast pace and he got a little tired, but not as tired as the rest and kind of showed a lot of heart? So that's trip handicapping, really. The third is, are there any improvement angles? Is the horse a 3-year-old that is kind of progressing? Is the horse 6 and you can't really think that it's going to achieve any new high speed figures, any new high scores? So that's the third. The fourth would be kind of trying to play a little bit of reverse psychology in terms of why is this horse in today for this particular price. So the horses are all set. It's a set price going into the race, so you know what the horse costs. And there's certain races where they're for sale, certain races where they're not for sale. So you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit. All right, a horse that's never been for sale is now for sale for 20,000. Does the horse have an issue? Is the horse still training? There could be like minor things that bug a horse that, the horse can still race, but may not perform up to its, top standard. You can kind of think about it like a basketball player that's just coming back from injury, needs a few games to kind of get into the rhythm, is still playing, but it's not going to be at his top level. That's kind of similar here. And I think it's very important, too, to understand the value of the horse itself. If the horse has never been for sale and they're kind of placing the first price tag on it, they really are at that point evaluating their horse and saying, hey, the valuation we are putting on our horse is X. And it's up to us as owners, as it's really the only thing that you control as an owner is the price that you get in on a horse. Everything else, you kind of pay somebody, trust somebody to do the best that they can do and get the most out of a racehorse. So the valuation of the horse is critical, kind of understanding the why in terms of like, okay, is this a big owner that has a lot of horses that, he wants to get a win at Keeneland because it's an elite meet, or maybe he's fighting for, the meet championship. So, you know, Keeneland runs 1 month and there's gonna be some at the top of the leaderboard that has the most wins as an owner. Every now and then you'll see a horse that's maybe worth 75,000 in for 40,000 because they want to win. They want to win that championship. So understanding like the human connections as well as the valuation that they put on the horse is important to understand, because ultimately in the claiming game, like you typically will have a horse from one race to, we've had a horse shaken loose that we had for 17 races after we claimed him. So understanding the valuations is critical, because that's where most of the money is in horse racing in general, because I mean, you have a really nice horse that's winning at the claiming level. Yes, you can make a little bit of money off of the purses and it's paying its day rate, it's paying its monthly, about $5,000 a month to keep a horse in training, by competing well on the racetrack and earning purse money. But ultimately, as owners, your exit is where the money is made. This is kind of a long-winded war room here, but I think it's an important understanding. Maybe we will clip this and send everybody as well. And the last thing is the next spot. So is this horse eligible for non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3? Has it won an allowance race? So that kind of goes into understanding the condition book, which is a whole other onion to peel back. But understanding, okay, is there a race in the next 3 to 6 weeks that this horse could target based upon its performance today? Okay, if it performs well, we can project the horse will go in X race. If it does poorly, maybe we will enter in Y race if we do get the horse. That's another thing as well. Every now and then, like you have multiple people in on the same horse. The price is already set. So you walk into the racing office, everyone gets a number, they put it in a little bottle, shake it up, pull the number out, and if your number is pulled, you get that horse. So oftentimes at Keeneland, especially, you are shaking for a horse, they call it. So multiple people are in on the same horse. So understanding the next spot's important too. So to recap, 5 decision criteria: speed figures, how they achieved them, so trip handicapping. Are there any improvement angles? Horse age, training patterns, etc. Understanding the why in terms of like the human connections as well as the valuation that horse had in the past, and then next spots. Those are the 5 main criteria we use to decide if we want to claim a horse or not. So last week, we actually dropped for 1 horse, Mary Madison. It was a 33-way shake, which is pretty crazy. But we will kind of break down the reasons why here, watch the replay of the videos itself, and then talk through 2 other horses that were in the same race that we were considering claiming, but ultimately decided not to. All right. So Mary Madison. So she is a 4-year-old. So she was born in 2022. She's a female, which is always nice because they have some residual value as mamas, ultimately, if they can be sold to be mamas. You kind of can see here, okay, from the training patterns, the horse had 1 break when it was just starting out training, made its first start at May of the 3-year-old year for trainer Phil Bauer and owner Rigney Racing. So this is kind of number 4 there in terms of why is this horse in today. The Rigney Racing is a very big outfit. They have a lot of really, really nice horses at the top level. So while she has shown a lot of promise and won some races and achieved some pretty nice speed figures here, ultimately, they are probably trying to get a win at Keeneland because they're a big outfit. They're Kentucky-based, so it's a big deal to win at Keeneland. So that's kind of number 4 there. Number 1, the speed figures. These are really, really, really quality speed figures here. So the speed figure here is in this column. So the 90 in the win, which correlates to a 9 on the graph here, which mimics a little bit like the Ragnarsson sheets, not quite. The Ragnarsson sheets are really nice because they account for ground loss, they account for wind, they account for weight, they account for everything in between. Where the third manager is more based upon final speed time as well as a track variant, they call it. It's based upon all the races that day. They adjust the numbers higher or lower based upon how deep or how slow or fast the track was moving that day. It kind of accounts for if it was raining, if it was muddy, or if it was really wet and dry and fast. So overall, this horse really appealed to us for multiple reasons. 1, the speed figure is really good. Achieved it kind of the right way in a sense, sitting off. You kind of can click into her race here and see when she won. Okay, she passed 2 horses that didn't totally fall behind, but it was an honest enough pace. You kind of can see from the fractions here that there was it was an honest enough pace, and it was a nice win going 3/4 there at Churchill Downs. A little bit of a red flag would be the recent form. So hadn't run great in Florida. Could be a couple different things. It looks like they gave the horse 30 days off and then entered it back into training. So maybe she's getting back into race shape. Ultimately, we decided to drop in this horse, eligible for the non-winners of 2. If it won today, it would be eligible for non-winners of 3. Hadn't won an allowance, so that's still in play. When you enter for a price tag, they then open up races restricted for horses that have ran for a price tag. They're called starter allowance races. So it's in between, top level stakes and allowance races and claiming races. So basically, it's horses that have in the past been valued. So in a starter 20, the horse had been on sale for $20,000 or less, and the horse has to have started for that number in order to qualify for the race. But it won't be for sale. So the purse is usually a little bit higher, and it allows you to keep that horse that you really like that isn't quite stakes level. So it's kind of the nuance of the condition book there. So ultimately, she ran second. So we did drop. So we were one of the 33 people that were in on it, which is a pretty crazy number. And that's important to note too, and kind of understanding that number 4, the valuation of the horse. It was the first time the horse was for sale. We kind of knew it would be a lot of people will be on it. And it's really key too, because statistics will show that if a horse has multiple people in on it when you claim it, more often than not, you could turned a profit on the horse just by simply running it next time out for a tag. So if the new owners decide to enter the horse for 30,000, chances are at least one of the 33 people that are in here are going to be back in for that horse. So ultimately, she ran second. We'll watch the replay here so you kind of can understand how she achieved that. A little bit bummed that we didn't get her. She's number 12 here. She went off as a big favorite.
Side right there is a fire for
here.
Machio down toward the
She
far
broke
turn. Must
decent
have
enough.
off the lead.
Sat just
Carol's
outside.
Carol's
Got a really good
Mary
trip, actually.
Madison, quarter mile to go. Formaggio has the lead. Mary Madison on the outside.
Turn there.
And then Ride the Broom looking toward the inside. Carol's Melody at a big price from the outside.
Kind of even that a little bit. Horse came to her
Melody
outside.
strides
She
forward
really
to challenge Formaggio. Mary Madison between that pair is still fighting on, but still third at this point. Final furlong. Carol's Melody far outside. Races up for a narrow lead. Past Mary Madison, then Formaggio. Past the 16th pole. It is Carol's Melody in front for Gabriel Saez. And Carol's Melody to win it. Mary Madison was home second. A multiple horse photo to separate third, fourth, and
potentially. So it's kind of look at it two ways. I mean, if you enter the horse in for the same condition, which on that day was for fillies and mares 3 years upwards who have never won 2 races, so they call that a non-winners of 2 for a claiming price of 20,000. So if you run this horse back at Churchill Downs in a non-winner of 2, 20,000, horse can be very, very, very tough to beat. Horse will have every ability to win that race. So ultimately, a little bum it didn't get Mary Madison, but that was the one horse that we did drop on last week. There are a number of horses that we kicked around, including 2 that were in the same race, Seazest and Hyla. So let's take a look at these 2 horses and then watch the race. So you guys kind of saw that Seazest actually won there. So ultimately, this horse had been has some good form over Keeneland, going 8.5 for maiden special weight. So maiden special weight basically means the horse isn't for sale. You kind of can see here this value. The purse money kind of tells you how good the competition was. So the horse ran at Turfway Park. So they tried the horse on the turf. Seemed like it didn't go great. Maybe it was facing tough competition. Going a flat mile is also a tough distance on a horse. You have to have a good balance of both speed and stamina. You kind of can see they've wheeled the horse back a few times here. They took the horse to Turfway. Didn't seem to like that surface there, ran 5th. Looks like they gave the horse some time off, then had 2 workouts before the race at Oaklawn, where was defeated pretty handily. I think you could kind of scratch that. I mean, the horse might have been on the farm training before it went to Keeneland, but I think you kind of can scratch it, kind of give the horse an excuse for coming off a layoff. Also going 2 turns where it looks like some of the better performances, the best performance actually was over 1 turn. And the value was critical here too. I mean, the horse was dropping in for 20 for the first time. So the price was right for sure on Seazest. Ultimately, like as you can see, the speed figures weren't super high. Was a 3-year-old, so you could project a little bit of improvement. Always worrisome to project improvement, but it's something we consider. It's one of our 3 decision criteria. So ultimately, we decided not to drop in this horse. Horse ended up winning. So maybe we'll have pie on our face in the future here if the horse continues to progress. Horse was not claimed, so nobody else. Oh, no, horse was claimed. 2 people dropped on it. So new trainer would be John David Wells. So the same owner, Sean Mitchell, and trainer claimed actually both horses that we liked here. One a 4-way and one a 2-way shake. So they had a lucky day. Hyla, this one was one that we liked because it was the first time the horse was ever in for a tag. Actually, no, the horse was in for 50K in its last race, but it was dropping from 50,000 to 20,000. Horse has shown a little bit of promise as a 2-year-old. I think of the improvement angles, the 2 to 3 is the most common. I think it's most horses do progress from their 2 to 3-year-old year is based on normal growing. So horse was given some time off, which isn't a big deal after a 2-year-old campaign. Brought the horse back at Turfway, hated the surface, basically just scratched it. Horse ran at Colonial. The race at Colonial was decent enough. I remember watching that back, wasn't discouraged by it. Thought, okay, maybe the horse didn't like the surface that day, rated as good, kind of marked here with a little asterisk. So overall, like based on the 2-year-old form, I thought the horse, okay, if the horse progresses, as most horses do, then, it's definitely worth the 20. Ultimately decided not to drop in this horse. Horse ran okay. Finished up 7th. Looks like it made the lead. They went pretty fast. These are the pace figures here. You kind of can see in the chart. CZS ran really well to sit in that lead and, continue on, but the horse that was in first and third, which is Hyla, and second, all dropped back. So let's go back and watch this race because a lot of these horses will likely be back in for the same tag at Churchill Downs next month. So we're Thursday the 9th, race number 2. So the CZS was 3, the 9 was Hyla. Hope I'm saying that right. 9 and 3, so kind of can watch it back and see if there was an excuse for the horses.
They're off.
The 3 broke.
Beginning for Denise Says No, went to her knees at the start, and now tracks out to the back of the pack. They'll try to catch up from there, but up front, Scramble is on for the lead. There's Hilla. Hilla moves up for the early lead by just ahead, just outside of Sharing Wisdom, just outside of Safe Space, and moves up the rail to challenge now for the lead. CZest is away running in the 4th position, Rotisserie 5th, and Click is a wide 6th, Mariposa Moon is 7th between horses, then a gap of 5 more lengths. Dodecahedron travels a lane off the rail to the far turn. In the 8th spot, Voluntold is in 9th.
The 2 horse was boxed in here.
Malone, who's outward from the rail, moves up 1 spot from the 10th position. Crown of Violence, and then Denise Says No last. 22. Looks like the 9 seconds the time for the opening quarter. Sharing Wisdom and Hilla going at it for the lead. Click tries to join them far outside in third. Within a length of the front pair, CZest is behind the front pair, looking for some running room in 4th. Just over a quarter mile to go. Rotisserie has to angle wide from 5th, still running 5 lengths off the lead. They turn for home. Sharing Wisdom has the lead off the far turn. Hilla's still there to the outside. Click, and then Rotisserie down the far outside is trying to join them. CZest tries to find an opening, looks for it down toward the rail. Final furlong, Rotisserie, CZest up the inside. Rotisserie, CZest coming up the inside for the lead. CZest by 3, by 4, by 5 at the 16th pole. CZest and Luis Saez to win it. Rotisserie will be home second. It was Bugs Malone from far back to be third, and Click was
This is kind of
4th.
part of the reason why we're doing this series is not just to give people a look behind the curtain in terms of how we decide to pick horses, but it also is a really good way for us to continue to get better at choosing these horses as well. So you kind of rewind back some of my thoughts there, and you kind of can see, okay, the horse ended up getting a 75 speed figure there, which is probably competitive at the 9 winners of 2 level. So when a horse wins its first race, it breaks its maiden. So now it's no longer eligible for those maiden races. They graduate to the 9 winners of 2 condition, or in this case, the horse is now eligible for a starter 20 condition. So she's a 3-year-old filly as well, which is super exciting for the new connections. I always like to do this where I double check, okay, let's look back last year at Churchill Downs, 4 fillies, there are 3. Might as well pull up 3-year-olds and up as well. Let's keep it claiming. Let's keep it dirt sprints, which that's how she won. And let's get the profile data. So then I sort by the race conditions. So she is now going to be a 3-year-old. This is probably around the time when she could circle back. Would be the May 9th race. Then she'd be entered for a claiming price of $30,000 in this scenario. So let's see what number won that race. So 75 won that race. So theoretically, if all things are the same, which they never are in horse racing, you never know who you'll be up against. But like a 75 is a winning numbers at a 9 winners of 2, claiming 30 level at Churchill. So these are kind of the things that we look at when we go and choose the next spot kind of thing. That's decision criteria number 5. So we'll definitely compete there. I'm curious what the 20K numbers, the 2 number is. So this just goes to show you the variance between each race. So the horses were in for $10,000 less, but you needed a higher speed figure in order to win that race. A 77 versus a 75 for the 30K. That just kind of shows you you need to get a little bit lucky at times too. You can have the horse perfectly spotted and still lose. So obviously you can't just view these numbers in a vacuum. You got to kind of understand the way they're achieved, the trip handicapping sort of thing. But going back to CZest in terms of, okay, why do we ultimately not drop on her? So the speed figures were a little bit weak there. We usually like to see in this middle spot, we like to see around a 10 or below. You can project some improvement for sure, being a 3-year-old filly, but her number as a 2-year-old wasn't the best. So ultimately, speed figures weren't great. Trip handicapping wise, looks like she had done her best running, coming off of it or just off the lead. So didn't look like she did anything super crazy here in terms of like the pace. Was it the one time she went fast? She kind of backed up. She did the same thing at Oaklawn. She didn't do it at Keeneland. She definitely kicked away there, and they went pretty fast early for sure. Improvement angles, I think that was kind of what put us on her to start. Is that she was a 3-year-old filly that had some form that you could definitely argue would improve upon, as well as the improvement angle of going from the maiden special weight, maiden 50 ranks to maiden 20 ranks as well. Why was the horse in it for this price? Made sense given how the horse ran at Oaklawn, given kind of the conditions. So the price was kind of right in our eyes there. And next spot, we kind of just went over what we thought there. Ultimately, that's kind of what put us off of her. We thought maybe she can progress off of her 2-year-old number. So I mean, she was logical for sure. Looking back on it, probably should have gave a little bit more credit for this 2-year-old number, which is actually pretty impressive. Over the slop, finishing up like fourth, beating 9 1/4 lengths is always like, well, why do you want a horse to finish fourth? But like the horse was running against main special weight competition, so it was facing better competition. It's always kind of good to like see how the horses that finished with like have gone on. So this horse ended up winning for 40. The horse that got third in that race, and then the two that were far ahead, second in a stakes race, won the race right after by 9 1/4. Went on to be stakes level one in an allowance race. So that ended up being a really nice horse. The winner of that race tried the stakes and synthetic, didn't like it, and is graded stakes place now. So it really flatters her here. So that's another reason why we liked her. We clicked into it, but ultimately decided not to drop on her. She's definitely one that we will follow, but kind of kicking ourselves a little bit based on that performance that was super duper impressive. So this has been a long version of the War Room, partly for the explanation at the beginning, but hope everybody enjoys this. We'll be back again next week. There's a few horses we've kicked around this week. I'm recording this on Saturday the 18th, so we'll look back at what we decided to do in this week on next episode of the Claiming War Room. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the trust and support of all of the First Rodeo Racing partners. Looking forward to continuing to chase firsts with everybody involved. Thank you.